Hello, my name is Antonio Mathis, and today I will be talking about the bajua people of the sea. In this particular culture, there is a tribe of people that have become accustomed to living off of the resources of the sea. And so as we dive into this culture today, I want to not only discuss their religion and tradition and cultural practices, but I also want to compare them to Christianity and how they might differ. There is also a unique skill set that they have learned in diving and spearfishing, and they can be known to spend up to 13 minutes under the water. And so that was a very interesting fact about their culture and about how they live, how they make a living. I want to start out by talking about the religion of the bajua people. Now, the bajua people believe that they are direct descendants of Prophet Muhammad, but also they believe that they worship other gods. So they believe in the God of the sea, and they even have a practice that where they used to allow boats to sail out into the open seas. And they believe that in doing that they casted away offending spirits. So they have a sort of a practice to where they believe in several different gods, whereas Christians, we believe in one true God. So they have mediums that they look to. They believe in worship and exorcism, and so a lot of times they use a person that they look to sort of, they believe that person holds a certain power or authority, and so their religion is a little bit diverse. It's very different from any religion that most people would look to. Secondly, I want to talk about the tradition of the bajua people. Now, according to the peoples of the world, Southeast Asia, the bajua are a colorful, festive, and musical people. And this sort of makes sense because when I was doing my research, they spend most of their time out on the water, on boats and on houses that they've built out on the water. And so there's a lot of dead time. There's a lot of time to be creative. They are even known to be great artists. And so they do a lot of creating. I was looking and seeing many of the fabrics that they would create. And they make most of their clothes by hand. It was very interesting to see how thankful they were and how they were able to take less and do more, whereas we live in a society that usually does less with the more that we have. And so they talked about the culture, the colorfulness of this particular culture, and they talked about the weddings. And in the weddings, they would wear even more colorful clothing to signify the royalty of that particular culture and the excitement and the festivity of it all. Thirdly, I want to talk about their way of survival or their cultural practice. Now, this is something that was very interesting. According to 8 unique facts of the bajau, Indonesia Sea Gypsies tribe, 2019, these are people who survive strictly from the resources of the sea. So the man of the family, or the provider of the family, will go diving, and they make their own homemade spears for underwater spearfishing. And so these men, over time, according to these studies, or according to the research, they have developed larger spleens that allow them to stay up underwater for nearly 13 minutes. And in this documentary, this man of the family, was able to stay up underwater for nearly 5 minutes until he caught his prey. And when he caught it, he took it home to his family, and they were all able to eat from that. But it was amazing to see that this is something that they do regularly. The men of the family will go out on their boats, by the way, the boats are handmade, and they will dive into the sea and go underwater. And surprisingly, they're able to stay underwater for large amounts of time. So it's very interesting that they don't need much at all to survive. And so looking and comparing that to the modern day Christian or the modern day person in America, we notice that we usually do a lot of complaining about everything, and they have very little, no medicine. They don't have much access, and they even mentioned that pirates would come and steal from the people, and they usually have no protection because they're not citizens of any place. And so, looking at all that, looking at their religion, looking at their tradition, and looking at their cultural practices, it was what I took away from who they were, is that although they are a very small minority of people, that they are resilient, that they are a people who believe in being self-sustainable, but also they are people who believe in family and hanging on to their traditions. So although they are not, they don't have the same beliefs as a Christian would, they have some of the values that a Christian would. So today we talked about the tradition, the religion, and the cultural practice, some of the cultural practices of the Bajua people of the sea. I want to end by saying that something that we can take away as a culture is the love for family, the ability to be useful with less, and then also being able to use the time that we have to be more creative. This is a culture that thrives off of creativity, that thrives off of generations of traditions and sustaining themselves and their families.